so much of what entrepreneurship is about the climb. It's about the journey. It's about identifying those peaks or those summits that you're trying to get to. And then sometimes when you get there, come to the realization that, hey, this is a false peak, right? I've got to go back down. I've got to trek back to then go forward and to reach a true summit. So I'm more or less a Sherpa on that journey where I'm basically walking with people and helping guide them on their journey to success.
Welcome to 20-Minute Leaders. Just sit back, relax, and learn from the leaders of today. It's a journey. Each one is different, unique, inspiring. Let's get started. 20-Minute Leaders is a proud supporter of Make-A-Wish Israel and Tech to Peace, and is in proud collaboration with Secret Chord Ventures, J Ventures, Riverside FM, Fusion VC, Birthright Excel, J Impact, Leap, Google for Startups, and Hippo, and in media partnership with CTech. Hello and welcome to another episode of 20-Minute Leaders. Today I'm with Patrick Parker, the CEO of SaaSpartners.io. Patrick is an accomplished tech executive turned founder with domestic and international experience in operations, custom software development, multi-channel product distribution, and marketing, involving both startup and growth operations. He has bootstrapped companies he founded to millions of ARR and has raised venture capital to build out teams, to refine product features and user experiences, and to execute go-to-market strategies. Patrick has built award-winning products and led major growth initiatives in both public and private sectors. He is a proven operations strategist with a track record of building successful businesses. If you want guidance that you can count on, then you can come to the right place with Patrick Parker, and it was a really enjoyable conversation talking about SaaSpartners.io. Thank you very, very much, Patrick. Patrick Parker, welcome to 20-Minute Leaders. Thank you very, very much for being here with me. How are you today?
I'm great. Thanks for having me on, Michael. How are you?
Good. Thank you for joining me all the way from Lexington, Kentucky, talking about SaaS partners and looking at different founder dilemmas along the way, and what are the different dilemmas that founders have when they're approaching different use cases that they may need, whether it be applications, websites. Do they develop their own software? Do they work with you? And what are the different options out there? So I'm excited to dive into your brain, sort of uncover the complexity of these decisions and why they're not necessarily so trivial. And maybe we can start there. Patrick, what led you to sort of understand that these decisions weren't so trivial?
Yeah, so really just personal experience. In the last 5 years, I've built 5 different companies and taken them to over $1 million in revenue each. And I've basically systematized the entire process. So just trying to build out frameworks, playbooks, things like that would basically de-risk all of the startup activities that come along with actually building and running a business.
And so we're talking about, business. So, and when we're looking at what SaaS plays into it and sort of your systemic way of thinking through it, what were some patterns that you've noticed that were meaningful here that may be applicable across a variety of businesses and industries?
I think the biggest misstep actually occurs during the startup phase. It occurs when people are trying to build a product, trying to take it to market. I think there's a lot of missed opportunities around actually validating there is a need for the service or product in the first place. So a lot of the time that we spend working with early stage founders is built around validating that software idea. How can you, before taking the time and spending the money to build a product, understand if there's really a need for it within the marketplace? And so we go very deep on going through the processes of defining your ideal clients, of working through your go-to-market strategy, of actually understanding before you build that product, is there a need? Is there a clear path to profitability in the marketplace? And if the answer is no, then going back to the drawing board, understanding what needs to change, whether that is your messaging, whether that is the overall offering and the pain points that you're actually trying to solve for those clients. And so we spend the majority of our time there because I honestly believe that out of the 91% of startups that fail, at least half of those are failing because they built a product that there was just no need for. And in fact, there's another statistic out there that says 42% out of all startups that fail because they fail to actually find product market fit. Mm-hmm. And so if you look at those two statistics together and you change that narrative from, being a statistic from failing when you could have avoided that in the first place, then, it changes that entire conversation about how risky it is to build a startup.
And so it sounds like your sweet spot is the early stage founders that are pre-product market fit, perhaps even pre-building their product. And so what type of model, from your end works in working with them? Is it equity based? Is it cash based? Because at this point, the startup is so fresh that they're basically just starting out.
Yeah, and it really depends on the opportunity. And by opportunity, I mean, it means the idea of the founder. So if it's a business where we believe there's a clear path to building a solid product, to taking it to market, and to achieving profitability, then in some of those cases, we will actually take an equity stake. We'll build the product at cost. And then we will work towards executing that go-to-market strategy in order to attract the early adopters and start gaining some traction itself, so that we can take all that social proof that we get from those early adopters, refine the messaging, and then use that to continue growing.
So, and sort of your involvement with the actual software development phase, is that also there, or is it mainly in the strategy and the validation of the product?
Yeah. So at SaaS Partners, we're really serving two customers, right? We're serving non-technical founders by actually building the products, coaching them through that entire MVP stage or MVP development stage. And then we're serving technical founders by helping them with go-to-market strategies, with branding, with refining their messaging, and then ultimately taking those products to market and scaling from there. So we're really focused in both places. In addition to that, I'm focused primarily on coaching, right? Working with those founders to understand how to get from point A to point B, and then how to eliminate the risk by using those proven frameworks and strategies that are battle tested, that are basically guaranteed to grow your business.
Mm-hmm. I'm really curious about the sort of the anything that has to do with outsourcing software. As an engineer myself, I sort of come into these situations valuing the ability to have a coherent strategy internally and have the product teams and the sales teams and the marketing and working with the engineering. And I'm always curious about how it works well outside. Is this something that also scales, or is this something that is mainly as a proof of concept to get traction and to check the viability of the market? How far does this get you, this outsourcing model?
Yeah, it's extremely scalable, and I think that's why a lot of people prefer to go that route up front. So if you're not someone, especially that has that technical background like you do, Michael, then you're going to need someone to come in and build your product. And if you don't have co-founders that your disposal that you trust that have that skill set, then the only alternative left is to find a company or an agency that can actually build that product for you, right? And so as you continue to grow, ideally, you want to have all of your development staff or your product team in-house, right? But you've got to work up to that point. So a lot of what we're doing is building out those MVPs. And then we actually operate under a model wherein you can purchase developers from us. So we have a project team that works on those projects. And if it makes sense for you to be able to bring those in-house, then you can pay for that team, and that team becomes your team, right? So we've done the hard work of finding those resources, of building out that team, and essentially you're able to just take that over from us.
That makes sense, and I think that I'm also very biased, in this conversation, because I'm coming from more of, when I think of startups or businesses, I think of these deep tech companies that are very research focused, and obviously it makes sense to have an in-house R&D, because that R&D is the company, right?
Yeah.
Whereas I think that what we're talking to is the majority of businesses around the world that aren't necessarily R&D, that's not their IP, but it's the business that they're in, it's the product that they're thinking of, it's the it's the ingenuity of what they're doing. And I guess over there it does make sense, where R&D is just one aspect of their business, is just an enabler. It's not the IP.
That's it. And so I think kind of to add to that too, the thing that our clients really like about the service that we provide is we do so much more than just development, right? So we've gone above and beyond to recruit some of the brightest minds across different functional domains. So you're going to have everything from marketing, from product, from customer success and support. You're going to have everything in-house. So essentially, we are your business and technology partner, and people have a single point of contact that they're actually reaching out to get status updates on everything. So it's a very frictionless process, and it's something that we've developed over time. And again, as you said, in your traditional model where you have you're building products and it is R&D based, that's one way of doing things. But for most people, they don't have access or the financial backing to have that entire functional domain within house, right? So the only alternative that's left is you've got to have someone else actually build that product.
Right. That makes a lot of sense. Can you give me some case studies of, some of the really cool businesses that you've gotten to work with and what that experience was like for you on a personal level?
Yeah. So one of our first clients is actually one of my favorite case studies, still just because of the amount of scale that we were able to build out within the business. But we had a registered dietitian come to us that was running her entire online business through Facebook, right? And Facebook is a great platform for connecting people. Now, in terms of running a business on Facebook, not so much, right? Because you get algorithm changes, you get your visibility kind of tampered with in terms of the posts and things that people are seeing. And then you get all the other noise and distractions that come along with the cat memes and the baby pictures and everything else that draws your attention away from, what actually needs to be delivered to the clients, right? So we ended up building out this entire software as a service platform for this client, wherein it basically automated a lot of her most daunting tasks. So things like paying referrals, where before she was spending almost 40 hours a month manually sending out, referral commissions to all of her clients that were bringing her new business. And so we looked at stuff like that. We looked at service delivery. We looked at the product as a whole to see where we could identify areas of adding value. And essentially, she was able to scale her business from 600,000 to 3.2 million in less than 18 months. Just by automating all of those processes. And now she's working about 10 hours a week in her actual business and spends the rest of that time focused on client acquisitions. So again, just a massive growth story there that's not unique in terms of, or I don't want to say not unique, it's a very unique story to her, but not unique in the sense that we have so many clients that have now achieve the same type of results throughout their journey with us. So it's one of those things that, just having the software that is tailored to you, tailored to your specific business cases, it's just a complete game changer. In a lot of cases, a massive competitive advantage over the other people that are trying to steal your clients and serve the same clients that you are.
How do you manage communication effectively between engineers that you work with, the entrepreneur, the business person, that they go to that team that is then leveraging the software? How do you make sure that the communication is really smooth? What have you learned about making really smooth communication on that front?
Communication is everything. So what we always do, which is a little bit different with us, usually in an outsource model, you have the client that is working with someone from the product team, right? Where we have all these different functional domains that we're also responsible for. We have a dedicated project manager, someone that is certified in project management that actually collaborates with those clients, that builds out data rooms for them where all of the different project artifacts live, where all of the reporting is going to go into, where all of the billing. So it's very organized and very easy to find. And then there's regular status calls with those clients as well that also include members of the product team, members of the marketing team, all the different functional domains that are focused on bringing this product to life, ultimately taking it to market and responsible for those customers scaling it out.
Right. That makes sense. Well, where do you find yourself in all this, Patrick?
Myself?
You still business. So, where are you here?
Yeah. So basically what I'm doing, I'm think of me as a Sherpa, right? I love the analogy of climbing mountains for entrepreneurs, right? Because that's so much of what entrepreneurship is about the climb. It's about the journey. It's about identifying those peaks or those summits that you're trying to get to. And then sometimes when you get there, come to the realization that, hey, this is a false peak, right? I've got to go back down. I've got to trek back to then go forward and to reach a true summit. So I'm more or less a Sherpa on that journey where I'm basically walking with people and helping guide them on their journey to success. I do everything from the actual product design to evaluating the business model. I do so much within the business. So I've got a hand in everything. But I usually just like to describe myself as a guide on that journey.
And if you look at sort of your day to day, which piece of it do you really enjoy most? I mean, it sounds like you get to work on a bunch of different things, and you mentioned before coaching was something that in particular you enjoy doing, working with entrepreneurs and businessmen and women, because you see the change of thought. Where really do you get your own excitement here?
That's where I spend the most of my day. So for me, it's serving clients and it is mentoring teammates, mentoring employees, right? And so I get the most benefit out of that personally in terms of working with those clients, helping them solve some of their most pressing problems, helping them, find a different lens to look at a problem in order to find that solution that they're looking for. That's a lot of what I do. And then outside of that, just working with teammates and working with employees to help them understand, what, when, where, and why, right? That are so important. And I think that's something else that we do really well is the level of transparency that we have in our organization throughout our project teams. It's so important to be able to conceptualize and internalize what it is that you're trying to build. So we're not just giving them a set of requirements and saying, hey, go fulfill this task, right? We really bring them into the entire process so that they can understand, why are we trying to achieve this result, right? Who are we serving? Where do these people hang out? How can we best reach them? All those different questions get answered so that they actually have a stake in the actual products as well. And can perform at their best.
So if we're looking a little bit into the future and we're looking at SaaS and we're looking at, organizations like SaaS partners, so thinking a little bit more broadly about this industry and where it's headed, how do you perceive things shifting over the next few years?
Yeah, so SaaS software is eating the world, right? Famous Mark Andreessen quote that I absolutely love. There's 25,000 software as a service companies in existence today. 1,000 new ones gets added every year. So when you look at the statistics and you see the continued growth within the industry, it's not going to stop. It's not going to slow down. So there's been a lot of a transition to focusing on how products are built. And so there's been a big push in terms of the emergence of low code and no code solutions. Some of those things that may help non-technical people actually start out by building products, building MVPs. But we're right in the middle of all of it, so the biggest thing for us is understanding what innovations are occurring within the industry, understanding how we can leverage those to the benefits of our clients, and continuing to build out and scale out in the way that we do. And so one of the other things that makes us particularly unique is in terms of the way that we handle downtime within our organization. So we have what's called a product studio. And when our developers roll off a product or roll off of a project, then instead of letting them go, we keep them on staff and they start focusing on building our own products. So we identify those different niches that have a need where we can insert a product, take it to market. And I think that's somewhere that really gives a lot of opportunity to our developers. It really helps them understand, the process of solving problems and of taking products to market. So they're going to get a shot to do that regardless of whether or not they're working on a client project or whether or not they're working on, a product that we're building in-house to take to market.
I love it. And I think that if we look at sort of how software has been progressing, I think you mentioned those, the 25,000 software companies, but what we need to really realize is that also companies that are not necessarily SaaS companies, every business requires software today. And I think part of what we were touching on before was this notion, okay, does this mean that every entrepreneur and every businessman needs to understand software first mindset? Well, I think there are some cases, yes, but some cases, no. And it sounds like what your company also allows them to do is to focus on the meaningful pieces, right? That are meaningful for them. And sometimes it's not the R&D that is necessarily the intellectual property here. It's just an enabler for something much greater that they can then do with their business. Is that really sort of the right way to look at the types of companies that would really benefit from working with you?
Oh, absolutely. And a lot of the companies that we serve, they're not in the software as a service space at all. We do a lot of custom software. We do a lot of mobile apps.
Right.
We do a lot of kind of back-end software that is really geared around internal communication or service delivery, product fulfillment, things of that nature. And so it's really just how to be able to, reduce some of the redundant tasks that you're, stuck with in your business through automations. A lot of it is modernizing legacy systems. I mean, there's so many different areas that we touch on a day-to-day basis. And so it's really, how can I identify the opportunities that exist within my business? What can I streamline? What can I improve? Whether that is a process, whether that is different products that I'm using. So we're consultants in the kind of truest sense of the word,
right.
But again, we tend to get focused in SaaS because that's where everyone wants to build. Most of the new entrepreneurs that we work with, they're planning on taking a product to market and they want to be able to service the masses. So in order to do that, build SaaS.
I love it. Patrick, thank you so much. This was awesome. I'd love to continue following your journey with SaaS partners and the different organizations that I'm sure you'll continue founding. And I especially love, your own take on this and your own passion with coaching these entrepreneurs and businessmen, understanding the different complexities and intricacies of where things may go astray, but really focusing on how do we make this really intentional and clear on what we're trying to achieve. How do we validate quickly? How do we get to proof of concept? And what are the different steps that are good for businesses? And so thank you very, very much, and stay safe and stay healthy.
Absolutely, Michael. Thanks so much for having me on.
Thank you very, very much.